We've now been joined on phone by Benjamin Insia, the Executive Secretary for the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, to share his perspective on the matter. Good evening, sir. What is your take on the nationwide erratic power supply?
Good evening. I think, first of all, listening to the various commentators, we will come to the conclusion that this is not a generational challenge, but a local one, which causes unreliable supply of power to various communities across the country. And that also goes to confirm our position that the system is quite old, the system is quite obsolete, and if we are not able to renew and modernize and upgrade our system, especially the local system, which are feeders, substations, transformers, we are not able to modernize them by improving on this particular infrastructure. Various communities are likely going to experience these erratic outages in the coming months and years. And I think that government must be committed to resourcing the local aspect of the system or the power system, because as for generation, we'll be able to resolve a lot of challenges around that area. But for transmission and distribution, there's a major work there, and that requires a lot of investment, which this government must make sure they put these resources, which is financial and technical resources, to be able to overcome this challenge. That is one. The second part is that I think, listening to the commentators, we've also come to conclude that these state agencies, especially ECG and GridCo, have not been customer-centered over the years, and thinking that maybe a new government with new leadership, the organizational culture would have changed to ensure that these organizations become very responsive to the plight of end users or customers who use their power. But yet, what is happening, or what I've heard from the field, shows that the customer-centeredness has not changed, and these companies still think that they are doing good to their customers and not doing the necessary thing they ought to do in terms of communicating the actual challenge and timelines given in resolving this particular challenge. I think that the organizational culture must change. We must be very customer responsive and communicate as and when they need it. Lastly, I also think that customers who are being affected, because from the commentaries I've realized that people have lost a lot of revenue, people have lost a lot of food items and sources of revenue. For that matter, they have to complement other activities to be able to make up their household income or firm income. I think that ECG must compensate any person or any community or any firm that has lost a lot of revenue as a result of these erratic outages. That boosts the confidence of these state-owned institutions, and also ensure that consumers begin to trust them, and ensure also that they do the right thing so consumers will not lose these huge sums of revenue they are losing today.
Regardless of these intermittent power outages that we're facing across the country, we also know that very soon they're going to increase the tariffs with regards to water and electricity. Do you think this is the right way to go, considering the fact that people are complaining that their livelihoods are being lost?
I don't think so. I've said it somewhere, and I'm repeating here that what is happening currently with respect to tariff adjustment, which is upward, is reflective of an irresponsible behavior of state institutions, state or persons who manage these state institutions. Because if you look at the structure of determining tariff in Ghana, there are mainly three indicators. One is the energy mix, which talks about thermal and hydro. The second is inflation, which is not caused, or whether inflation increases or decreases is not caused the end user by state that is appointed to manage inflation. If they fail to manage it, or they act irresponsibly in order to manage it, it becomes a burden of the end user or the electricity user. In terms of depreciation of the currency, which is one of the factors in determining tariff, if the Bank of Ghana and then the Minister of Finance or the central government tries to mismanage the economy in so much that the state begins to depreciate, they say the end user should pay for this particular city depreciation. I think that Ghana has not been fair, or these state institutions and their appointees have not been fair to the end user, because they are expected to manage the city well and make sure that the city stabilizes or even see some appreciation against the dollar. They are expected to manage inflation well to any of their benchmarks whether Bank of Ghana benchmark, which stands around 8%, or the Minister of Finance benchmark, which stands around 11.9%. Any of these benchmarks, we must work assiduously to ensure that we meet these benchmarks. If we fail to meet them and inflation begins to rise, we say the firm or the consumer or the other household user to pay for these particular inefficiencies. Lastly, there is also evidence from the PURC. If you look at their tariff decision paper of the second quarter of 2024, they stated categorically that anytime they even increase tariffs, ECG, which is a major mobilizer of tariff or revenue, is not able to mobilize all the revenue. For that matter, in that particular quarter, they paid some of the tariff. So what it means is that even if PURC increases tariff by 14.75%, the ECG as a major mobilizer will not be able to mobilize these new sample of revenue. So what it means is that those who are paying for are the same people who are going to pay for tariff. The firms that are paying are the same firms that are going to pay. The households that are paying are the same households that are paying. And if it becomes burden on them, most of them will also begin to evade these tariffs or begin to evade bills, which also goes to affect the operations of these utility companies. So I think that, yes, there may be certain justification for tariff adjustment, but that justification indirectly is an irresponsible justification, because state actors that are mandated to ensure that inflation becomes stable have not done their work well, and state actors that are mandated to ensure that depreciation or appreciation of the cedi becomes very stable have not also done their work well, and that inefficiency or responsibility is being passed on to the user. I think the coming months or weeks, we need to categorically or critically reassess the terms in which we adjust tariffs, especially inflation. I think that inflation is already factored in the depreciation of the currency, so we should not even look at inflation in determining end user tariff, because that makes the end user pay double for tariff, and that double costing will cost our economy dearly, because if tariff begins to increase, what it means is that the cost of production increases. If cost of production increases, it means that our PPI, that is producer price inflation, is likely going to increase. If that also happens, it affects our CPI. CPI increases. Then Bank of Ghana says somewhere and says that because CPI has increased, inflation has increased, we need to tighten the economy through monetary policy. And also, tightening the monetary policy means that we are going to increase policy rate. We increase policy rate, then it also crowds out the industry for access, because credit becomes very expensive. So, if tariff adjustment, the cyclical thing that causes this economy to so much that I think that we need to critically reexamine when we should adjust tariffs upward or when we should make tariffs stable. Because if we continue to adjust them upward, our industry will not be competitive, and it's likely going to push a lot of them sacking people or retrenching workers, leading to high unemployment.
Mr. Nsia, I'm very grateful for your input.
Thank you.